When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof, like Aloe or Allbirds, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and great marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business, making selling, and for shoppers, buying, simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. Nobody does online business better than Shopify. It's home of Shop Pay, the #1 checkout in the world. You can use it to boost conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts going abandoned and way more sales going through to checkout. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/income, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/income to upgrade your selling today. That's shopify.com/income.
Are your ulcerative colitis symptoms proving difficult to manage? Tremfya guselkumab can help you manage the cycle of UC symptoms. At 1 year, many patients taking Tremfya achieved clinical remission, and some patients also achieved endoscopic remission. Individual results may vary. Tremfya is a prescription medicine used to treat adults with moderately to severely active ulcerative colitis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and TB. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Ask your doctor if Tremfya can help you manage the cycle of UC symptoms. Call 1-800-526-7736 to learn more, or visit tremfyaradio.com.
This podcast contains adult themes and language, and some of the things that we discuss may be disturbing to some listeners. In this podcast, we discuss sexual assault, torture, race, and murder. Listener discretion is advised. Please take care of yourself.
And welcome to Fruitloops. Buiti binafi and bienvenidos, bitches. Thank you so much for listening.
Yeah.
Fruitloops is a podcast about true crimes committed by people of color and those who are othered and the victims, because there are, believe it or not, systems, institutions, and patterns in society that gatekeep this information. But we're going to give it to you straight, no chaser. The truth is, we're all capable of doing very shitty stuff.
Yep.
And all victims deserve to have their stories told. These crimes rarely get any public attention because, in the simplest of terms, the news is racist. Allegedly.
And we are Wendy and Beth. She's Wendy, a Black Latinx woman, and I'm Beth, and I just happen to be white.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's just a little piece of who we are.
Oh, yes.
But who we are not is journalists, investigators, or psychologists. We're just a couple of gals interested in true crime. Also, the opinions expressed in this podcast are just that, our opinions.
Hey, Fruities. Welcome to Fruitloops, and this is a recorded interview / crossover episode that we did with Erin, the co-host of Generation Y. We like to refer to Erin as our pod play cousin, and we had a time talking about the life, legacy, and murder of the late Marvin Gaye, an R&B singer, a Black man, and his death. The story is wild, it's tragic, and his life was also fascinating, full of ups and downs. And so we got the chance to talk about all of it. This is part 2 that you'll be hearing. I just wanted to say one thing. So we were all talking about like our favorite Marvin Gaye songs. And one of the things in like post, when Erin and I and Beth were like emailing back and forth, oh, that was so great, thanks for being on the show, blah, blah, blah. One song we forgot to talk about was Marvelous Marvin. Go listen to it. It's Mos Def. It's like a musical appreciation and meditation on the glory of Marvin Gaye. I wish we'd talked about it during the recording, but we didn't. Anyway, we talked about a lot of really great stuff about his life and his music and the impact and his legacy and his tragic end, We hope you enjoy this episode. As always, thank you for listening. We love you. And, if you didn't hear part 1, go back and listen to it and enjoy the show. Now, let's get into the good stuff. Should we talk about his fucking? Because he fucked a lot. And
this is the favorite part of the show for you.
Boy, oh boy. Okay, so I read Janice's book.
Yeah, I feel like this is what you were waiting for. This moment.
Like, oh boy.
Let's open up the present because it's Christmas. So, Marvin Gaye, you know the song "Sexual Healing"? He wrote it, and he wrote it about Janice. Apparently, Janice was kind of like his muse. So when they were madly in love, he would write about it. When they were fighting intensely, he would write songs about it. And I was under the impression that most of his catalog is about Janice. Did you want to say something about your thoughts on their relationship and how it played into his creativity, but also his struggle, insecurity, and they were both on drugs, mind you. She drank more than he did, and I think she also fell into a crack cocaine
Yeah, he did a
addiction.
lot of cocaine.
Yeah, but he did a lot of cocaine and a lot of pot. Not so much alcohol was his thing, but they were both deep in addiction
Drugs,
during this time. But the things he created when he was in these periods are remarkable. And I think, being an artist sounds like it's really hard. But Sexual Healing he wrote, and I heard a conversation that Janice and him had in her book. And he was like, we just need sex to heal ourselves. And then he wrote that song. And I thought that was cool. Also, in Janice's book, okay, every paragraph. Paragraph 1, me and Marvin Gaye fucked. Paragraph 2, then we did drugs. Paragraph 3, then we fought. And then it's just that cycle over again.
It's a cycle.
Fucking, drugs.
Doing drugs.
And fighting. Fucking, drugs, fighting.
And there's some kids in there.
And there's
Don't forget that.
there was so much fucking. Some kids did come along. Yeah. They had 2 kids.
Because he adopted with Anna, but then like with Janice, they had
two kids. They had her son. I don't remember the son's name, but she called him Bubby in the book. Mm-hmm. And then their daughter, Nona was born first. And then I want to say the son's name is Frankie, but I don't remember for sure.
And one of the adopted kids with Anna is Marvin Gaye the third, right?
Yes.
I believe that's how it went.
Yeah.
All the names were correct.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Oh, this story was kind of funny to me. So Marvin Gaye was married to Anna, but they were not together. He left Anna for Janice, who was 17 years old at the time, by the way. Mm-hmm. Very scandalous stuff.
Yeah.
And
it was like the opposite of what happened with Anna.
Right.
Way older, way younger.
Right. And so Anna was not happy about this situation. Marvin Gaye, I think he liked toying with these ladies. So he tells Janice, hey, we're going to go get Marvin Jr. Get in the car and let's go over to Anna's and get Marvin Jr. They go over to Anna's house. Anna comes outside and goes right to the door where Janice is. And she looks at Janice and then she looks at Marvin and she goes, don't bring it here ever again.
Oh my God.
Janice is a it. That was crazy. I mean, that was shady as hell. But I thought that was wild.
But one takeaway I know is that Janice, even after she and Marvin were no longer a thing, she seems to talk pretty well about him.
She does. In the memoir, I think it's called After the Dance or something like that. The book ends with the shooting, which we'll get into shortly. But after that, her part of the story ends. And all she says at the end of the book is, thank you, Marvin. That's it. Just thank you. Yeah. So she really does speak very, very fondly of him. And in the documentary, she did as well, saying, we were 2 people, we were young, we were in love. And unfortunately, we had substance issues, which contributed to their turmoil. But I will say she really did love him. And I think he really did love her. They loved the shit out of each other. They loved hard. They fucked a lot. And they fucked hard. And I mean, the things she would describe, she talked about the first time Marvin Gaye did cunnilingus on her. And anyway, it was kind of an erotic book.
Are you going to be...
It was like mommy porn, and I think I might have liked it too much.
You're going to be going through this book again.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah, actually. Woo, it's getting hot in here.
Steaming up. Need to turn a fan on or something.
Turn on sexual healing and start reading again.
Woo, yeah. But they really explored each other's bodies to the fullest and so frequently. Anyway, yeah, they loved hard and they fought hard. That's all I was trying to say in a very roundabout way. So, okay, so
today's episode is sponsored by the letter F.
Hey, did you guys know Marvin Gaye fucks? Well, if you like fucking, try F's. Thanks, S.
You mean the Heard It Through the Grapevine guy? That guy?
Oh, that was interesting.
No, like one person in the documentary that I watched, they actually said they didn't think there was a sexier singer in history than Marvin Gaye. Like if you listen to his songs.
Oh, yeah.
And you know there were all kinds of singers that people said, oh, when I'm in a loving mood, I put on
Barry
Teddy
White
Pendergrass or something. Barry
Yeah.
White. But no, Marvin Gaye, number one.
Yeah.
I agree
I
with
have
that
to agree,
sentiment. Yeah. Like, I'm sorry. I'm aroused. No, I'm just kidding.
Wow. She's opening up, isn't she?
I'm really, I was really looking forward to today.
I'm glad you haven't met this guy because you'd probably knock him down.
I know.
You just like jump into his arms and he'd be on the ground.
Old Whitey and I were talking last night, pillow talk. He was like, so what are you going to talk about tomorrow on your show? And I was like, Marvin Gaye. And I was like, friend, he fucks so much. And then I was like, he's such a beautiful man with a beautiful voice. It's like the best of all worlds. Beautiful to look at, beautiful to listen to.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Anyway,
and old Whitey was a little intimidated.
He was
at this point.
a little bit. Yeah. But
Don't
you know
worry,
what?
old Whitey. He's dead.
He's dead. He's dead. He's not a threat.
What if there's a time machine, Wendy?
Yeah.
Come on. I think old Whitey better watch out.
You better mind his P's and Q's, if you know what I mean.
That's right.
So let's get into the crime of it all, shall we?
Okay.
Yeah, all of this culminates into something, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
It culminates into the tragic end of a legend, a hero who had made, by that time in his life, quite an impact on the world as far as his music goes. I mean, he was doing tours all over the U.S., in Europe, doing shows with Bob Marley in Jamaica. Like, I don't know if he did a show in Africa, but just all over the world. People knew his name and people knew his voice because of the meaningful, impactful, loving music he made.
Uh-oh. The last cookie.
You can get a new box of cookies in as fast as an hour with Walmart Express Delivery.
Are you my guilty self-conscience?
No, I'm the voice offering you promo code EXPRESS for free delivery on your first order.
Hey, who ate my cookies?
You mean, these cookies?
Order now. Welcome to your Walmart. Promotion valid for first express delivery order. $50 minimum subject to availability. Restrictions apply.
Over the past several days, 3 females have been found dead.
Looks like someone's going after these girls.
Then they have to know to watch their backs.
Streaming March 13th.
You really want what happened to this one that happened to you?
Exactly why I need to keep going on this.
Starring Emmy Award winner Amanda Seyfried.
I'm worried about what you're gonna find. So am I.
Long Bright River. A limited series. Streaming March 13th. Only on Peacock.
Now, he did get into some financial trouble.
Very important.
Yes. He didn't pay his taxes.
Yeah.
And so they wanted their taxes. So he kind of took off.
Yeah.
And he hid out in Hawaii for a while. He lived in his van.
Yeah.
Yeah, ask Wesley Snipes. It's not easy when the government comes calling for their money.
No, it's not. But Wesley Snipes' defense was, Beth, we talked about it on a recent serial killer who didn't believe in paying taxes. What is, not the 99% or no?
No.
It's some sort of group that doesn't believe that the United States has sovereignty over them. Yeah, and
I've met one of these
sovereign
people.
citizens.
Really? Sovereign citizens.
Yes, I met one.
Really?
And I remember him in my mind right now. It's like he was this, I think he was about 36 or so. He's a big, hugely powerful looking black guy. I was talking with him about it, and he was just saying, hey, look, I've got all the proof you need. You don't have to pay taxes. And I said, show me no more. I said, the government can come and arrest me and take all my stuff. And I don't care what your little rule book says.
They're gonna do it anyway.
So I don't care what the rules are. I don't care what proof you have. This can happen.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to pay my taxes. End of discussion.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, but you're just giving them your money. And I'm like,
yeah, I'm well aware. I'm giving
when
them
you're behind
money.
bars, don't cry to me.
You think this guy's in jail now?
I don't know, because, the way the world works is sometimes people get caught up in these things and they go for a while. Sometimes they live and die in the cult. Sometimes they escape. I don't know if he seemed like a pretty sharp guy. It's just sometimes I think we get convinced of things. Maybe someone we trust has told us and we're like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I just looked at the big picture and said, nope. I can't beat the government.
I'm not playing with this.
That's
I've seen Uncle Sam and what he's capable of. I'm all right. I'll just keep paying.
Mm-hmm.
That's so interesting that you met one. Whoa.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa. So
he hid out in Hawaii for a little while, and then he went to the UK for a little bit and was doing some concerts there. He blew off one of the royals.
Oh, yeah, Margaret.
Yeah, Margaret.
Princess Margaret.
Yeah. They were going to do a show for her, and he never showed up, or he showed up late, and she was already gone.
Mm-hmm.
Was that the drugs, though?
I'm not sure if it's the drugs or if his stubborn nature, because I think he told somebody that he was not going to be a puppet for the royals or something like that. But I don't know if it's true.
Sounds
or
like
not.
him.
Yeah.
But I do know
yeah,
that
he didn't want to follow anybody's orders.
Yeah.
Right. He just wanted to make cool shit and fuck and live his life. I'm not going to stop saying that.
What was that? The F word again?
Yeah, I did say it again. Sorry.
This is going to set a record for Fruit Loops.
He loves fucking. I'm sorry. I can't stop saying. You know what? When I was planning this episode in my mind and researching it and listening to Janet's book about how much they fucked, I was like, I can't not say it. It's so much. It's so
You should have counted
so
how many
much.
times she mentioned it.
I didn't, but I will go back and look. It was a lot.
Do a word search.
It was a 9-hour audiobook, and she must have said it once every 5 minutes.
Wow.
Anyway, so I wanted to touch on when he was in Hawaii, he tried to commit suicide, and my understanding is that he had a few attempts. One was in Hawaii. He took a bunch of cocaine and thought it would kill him, but it didn't. I think at one point, this was earlier when his marriage with Anna was failing, he tried to shoot himself, but somebody walked in on him in the process and stopped it. And then there was another time where he jumped out of a speeding car and his attempt was not successful and he had only minor injuries. So there's a lot leading up to the fateful day of April 1st.
Yeah. After Hawaii, he went to the UK, and then it was around the time, I think, Sexual Healing came out that he came back to the United States. He paid his bills, whatever, he was allowed to come back. And he went on tour again, but he was kind of just falling apart at that point.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, and when you're using that many substances, your brain and your mentality is just completely off. He was really paranoid. He would have intense fights with Janice. And when they were not in the same place, they weren't fucking, but they were talking on the phone. Sometimes it was lovingly. Then the next time it was like, you're sleeping with my whole band and how dare you? And I never want to talk to you again. Stuff like that. He just would seem to flip a switch. And I think a lot of that was
wasn't all there.
The substances.
Yeah, he did that to his brother as well.
Oh.
What did he do?
There was that whole incident where he demanded to get his gun back because he had his gun. So he said, I want my gun back. And Irene, Frankie's wife, had finally went and got it, just removed all the ammunition out of it. And then she handed it to her husband and he handed it to his brother, who basically snatched it away from him. And of course, he checked and there was not a single bullet in it anywhere. So he was yelling at him saying, you're not my brother.
Oh, my
You're not
God.
my friend.
Oh.
And it's, I'm sure we've all seen it with people who have been addicted to substances and stuff, they go off the deep end and you can't reason with them.
No.
Yeah.
But it's hurtful to those that loved him. It's clear, I watched a video of Frankie singing a song, What's Going On by Marvin. And, he absolutely loved his brother. You can tell.
Yeah.
When he sings that song, he's thinking of his brother. And yet, his brother, at times was telling him, you don't love me. You don't care about me.
Yeah, I think.
But that's the paranoia from his addiction.
Yeah.
And also the trauma from his childhood, thinking that nobody loves him.
Right.
That's right.
That's
a big part of it, too.
Oh, my gosh. So, are we ready to talk about April 1st?
Yep, let's do it.
So he's basically a broken guy by this point. Very vulnerable and just probably feels like he doesn't have solid ground underneath. The only thing he has is his mother.
Yeah.
Right.
And he's back home with his parents,
living
visiting
back
his parents
with his
at the house he
parents.
bought them.
Right.
And his parents are actually living in separate bedrooms.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't slept in the same room for like 10 years or something. So they're basically roommates.
Mm-hmm.
And Marvin moves back in.
Yeah. And on the morning of April 1st, 1984, Marvin's parents got into an argument.
Actually, they'd been arguing for days.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And Marvin seemed to catch the tail end of an argument about some insurance papers. And Marvin was already on edge. I do not think he had stopped using substances at this point.
No, he hadn't.
So he intervened in this argument between his parents. And he was like, leave my mom alone, you big jerk. And the argument...
I love that you say big jerk. Probably not what he said. If we were talking about the other activities, you'd be more descriptive,
they were
Wendy.
fucking. No. So he was like, big jerk, leave my mom alone. And the argument escalated. And Marvin allegedly pushed and also punched his father. And his father fell to the ground. And then a few minutes later, Marvin Sr., Papa Marvin, went and got a .38 caliber pistol, which is ironic because singer Marvin Gaye Jr., bought that gun for his dad, I think, for Christmas.
For Christmas, yeah.
And Papa Marvin walked into Marvin's bedroom and without warning, didn't say anything, just shot him point blank in the chest. And then the bullet pierced Marvin's heart and he fell to the ground. And then his father shot him again.
Yeah, in the shoulder, I think.
Yeah. Then Marvin's brother, Frankie, lived next door. He rushed to his brother's side and later recalled that he heard Marvin say these final words, which are, quote, I got what I wanted. I couldn't do it myself, so I made him do it, end quote. And until researching this a little bit more intensely, I always thought that was a rumor. I didn't know that Marvin Gaye really said that before he died, which took my breath away, learning that it was true. And that his brother, who loved him so much, heard it. And his mother, who loved him so much, was there to witness it.
This podcast is supported by Progressive, a leader in RV insurance. RVs are for sharing adventures with family, friends, and even your pets. So if you bring your cats and dogs along for the ride, you'll want Progressive RV insurance. They protect your cats and dogs like family by offering up to $1,000 in optional coverage for vet bills in case of an RV accident, making it a great companion for the responsible pet owner who loves to travel. See Progressive's other benefits and more when you quote RV insurance at Progressive.com today. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Pet injury is an additional coverage and subject to policy terms.
This episode is brought to you by Coffee Mate. After watching this season of the HBO's original series, The White Lotus, this is the tropical getaway I needed. One more pina colada, please.
Hey, you're not on mute.
Oh, I thought I was in paradise. Turns out it was my Coffee Mate. Coffee Mate pina colada and Thai iced coffee flavored creamers. Inspired by the newest season of HBO's original series, The White Lotus. For the love of coffee. Try now.
Let's get into the aftermath.
Yeah, I also did not believe it at first. I thought it was, I don't know what I thought, but
that sounds fantastical.
Yeah.
Like in a movie. Yeah, like a script.
It kind of made sense, though, because he did something that never happened before, as far as I know, which is he struck his father.
Yeah.
And that crossed the line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he didn't just strike him. He kind of beat the shit out of him.
Yeah.
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 And he also had said something similar when he was provoking somebody else. It might have been his brother. I don't remember who it was. But he was also provoking that person and trying to get them to kill him.
Hurt him, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, it's difficult going through the life that he had and all the struggles and everything. What we've come to find out is that he just couldn't do it himself.
Yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily excuse what his father did because there's a whole life of abuse there.
Right.
But it puts it into perspective that even though we might look and go, oh my God, that's so terrible. Well, for Marvin, this might have just been the way he wanted his story to end.
This is how he wanted to go out.
Yeah. So my impression of people who deal with addiction issues is they will often say, I just want to die. But what they really mean is I just don't want to hurt like this anymore, or I don't want to be sad like this anymore, or I don't want to feel the hard feelings anymore. So it doesn't always mean a wish for death, just an end to the pain.
Yeah.
And that's how I like to think of it. Marvin just didn't want to be in pain anymore because he was so sensitive.
Yeah.
Boy, wow, that went somewhere. Sorry, I just had a wave of emotion.
It's a heavy topic.
It is.
I also kind of look at it as the way I'm sure Janice might, which is there's a lot of heartache there, but there's also a lot of love. There are also a lot of good memories. And even to this day, you can look back through his career and you could look at his personal life and think, oh, wow, look at all these problems. But if you listen to his music, if you watch him on stage, there's a lot you can take away from this. He had a message. And just because he struggled in his own life doesn't mean we can't take something from his messages.
I agree. And I also think a lot of things can be true at one time in the world and within a human being. And so Marvin Gaye could have been in a lot of pain, but it's clear he had so much love to give.
Now we're back on this again.
No. But it came out in his music, and I just want to make that clear. I do think that he dealt with intense depression and feelings of inadequacy and not being valued, but I also think he had like a lot of love inside of him to give, and I'm grateful that we get to experience it in his music.
Yeah.
So it's like love language, right?
It is.
People say, however someone loves you is how they want to be loved.
Right.
And if you were to look up his, if they had it back then, social media, his relationship status could have been, it's complicated. Right?
Yeah, for sure. Complicated.
Yeah, that definitely, I think, that is a really interesting exercise to think of Marvin Gaye in 2025 context.
Social media.
How he might be. I will say, I think during the end, he did try to like dry out, clean himself up a little bit and abandon substances. And I think there was a period that he and Janice were both sober together, and it was like so beautiful. And they were fucking a lot and stuff. But he couldn't sustain it. It was yeah. And sobriety's hard. It's really hard to maintain.
And it's even harder when you have a career like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of it, I mean, for me, it comes easy because I love to drink, but I just hardly ever make time for it. I was just talking to Justin, co-host of Gen Y.
Yeah, the greatest podcast
today
ever.
About how I have this really great beer in my fridge, and I've had 4 out of 6 of them, but I've had those last 2 in there for well over a month.
Yeah.
And I keep thinking, oh, I'd love to get a drink.
Yeah.
And I just never make time for it.
Yeah.
So I'm terrible at abusing substances.
Yeah, same.
Now, pizza, on the other hand, that's not a problem.
Wow, guys. This is so interesting. Now, I've been honest. I've had some struggles with substances in the past, and I'm on a journey. I'm reevaluating my relationship with all the things. Never done anything very hard, but it's hard. It's like work. And when you're thinking of, you're supporting your family because you had kids and maintaining a steady stream of income, it's all those things are like stressors that make substances seem a lot more
very
attractive.
Enticing.
Yeah.
It's like a break, right?
Exactly.
Taking a break.
Yeah, exactly. Or like a vacation for a few minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, he clearly had struggles. But after the shooting, Marvin Gaye was rushed to the hospital, but he was pronounced dead on arrival at 1:01 p.m.
I have to jump in real quick, though, Wendy, because they weren't allowed, at least they said they weren't going to enter the premises as long as there was a firearm there.
Oh.
So Irene had to run around and try to find the firearm, and it was underneath the father's pillow. Because at first, when she asked him, he said he didn't know what she was talking about. He said, "What gun?"
Oh, my God.
But he had just killed his son.
Wow.
Yeah, it was very confusing. And Irene just thought, I'm going to have to find this thing. She dug through all of his drawers, looked under the bed. She finally found it under the pillow. And so it was about 20 minutes after the shooting that the paramedics finally got into that bedroom. And as you described it, that bullet went through his chest. It went through a lot of organs. So I don't even know if he would have made it anyway, but it would have been nice if they could have gotten in there sooner.
Faster,
my Lord. That's an aspect of the story I wasn't aware of at all.
I didn't know that either.
Changes things.
Irene, Frankie's wife, she's Scottish. He met her over in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
She is just wonderful to listen to about the whole story because she knows so many things. And she would call Marvin's parents mother and father.
Oh, wow. Wow. Yeah, I recall her from the documentary, that nice blonde white lady. She was a delight to listen to. And it was really nice to have her perspective included in the story, but I did not know that part. 20 minutes with a gunshot wound is a lifetime.
Yeah.
So who knows what could have happened if his father hadn't been like, what are you talking about?
If he just
Yeah, that's crazy.
Tell them where the gun is, for Christ's sakes.
Yeah.
And what would have happened, though, if they had saved Marvin? Would there have been some sort of a change there between father and son because, it's like that huge moment. It's either nothing changes or maybe everything changes.
Yeah.
I don't think anything would have changed.
A fork in the road, almost.
Honestly. Well, his dad was so... Well, we'll get into the charges and stuff.
Yeah.
He just didn't seem like he felt bad about it.
Yeah, like he was an evil person. But...
I don't...
a big jerk.
Come on, Beth. You were kind of, you were kind of starting to write evil on the board. You stopped as you were starting to write the L. And I'm like, you're not going to say it?
She's trying to be nice.
He was an asshole.
Yeah.
Okay. I think she's right, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's pronounced dead. Marvin Gaye is pronounced dead tragically. And his father is arrested and he is charged with first-degree murder. But somehow police or doctors discover that he had a brain tumor and that might have affected his cognition and mental status at the time. And law enforcement determined that he acted in the heat of the moment. So he eventually gets convicted of voluntary manslaughter instead. And I think his mom, Marvin's mom, sorry, I feel like I have to rewind, at the scene was like, that man killed my baby or something like that. Does that... Am I making that up? Okay.
No, I think so.
Okay. And I think she was always planning to leave him, but this sealed the deal. I guess this was the catalyst. And Marvin Gaye Sr. was sentenced to 6 years of probation and spent his final years in a nursing home before dying in 1998. That's 12 years.
I think he was 80-something when he died. So he lived a good, long life.
Yeah.
Those bad people always do.
I know. Bad men never seem to die. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So I guess now all we're left with is the legacy of Marvin Gaye and the beautiful music that he left us. And while I think it is important to acknowledge the pitfalls and the struggles and the harm he might have caused other people, I still think many things can be true at once. And he was also seemed to be a beautiful soul and full of wonderful ideas about love and life and the world. And we're just lucky we get to hear them in his songs. So,
yeah.
Any other thoughts?
I think you summed it up pretty good, Wendy.
Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound, we use soft, fresh-tasting coconut.
The crunchiest almonds and delicious chocolate candy.
Ah, but do you know what our most important ingredient is? Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Almond Joy's got nuts and something even way better than that. Yes, Almond Joy is made with almonds and joy.
Yeah, I think when it comes to the end of a story, you try to leave somebody who's listening with something, and I think it's go listen to some Marvin Gaye.
Yeah.
Because let's let's end it on a good note.
Yeah.
You know, listen to some of his great songs and just appreciate the art that this artist gave us, because we wouldn't have it if he had a great upbringing, I don't think.
Yeah.
I mean, he probably would have always had that voice, but the actual songwriting and stuff, the stuff that he spoke from within, that's stuff that only came out because of who he was.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I think his voice, too, just to speak of the quality of it, I remember Quincy Jones saying something about hearing Michael Jackson sing, and his voice it sounded like the voice of somebody who knowed some things, who had been through some things. And Michael Jackson was really, really little, which was weird.
Yeah.
But Marvin Gaye's voice to me sounded like he'd knowed and been through some things. And I love that in my art, in my music.
And able to communicate that so well to other people. That's what I love about any art form, is when you can get that feeling, that sexual healing. No,
That's
just
funny.
like being able to communicate it.
Yeah.
Like, not all art is great at communicating feelings, but his music really was.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, one thing I didn't know before I looked into this story was I didn't know how close he was with Smokey Robinson.
Oh yeah. Smokey Robinson would like loan him money and stuff when he was down
And
and
I
out.
love how every time Smokey starts telling a story, he always talks about people talking about him, and he says, "Hey, Smoke," or he'll say, "Hey, this is Smoke." I'm like, man,
that's funny.
He's got a cool name.
That is funny.
That is a cool name.
That is. I didn't realize that they were that tight. I just know he asked him for money. But that
no, they were out around each other a lot. Yeah, even as younger people. Yeah.
Hey, Smokey Robinson came out with an album recently. I think it's called something like Orgasms or something. It's okay. You
Is it
might think
about
I'm making
fucking?
this up. It is all about fucking. Seriously.
This is just your favorite subject.
It tends to be.
You need another podcast,
It's
Wendy.
up there.
I know. I do want to do a podcast about Black women talking about sex, but more on that later. Anyway, do as our friend, the legendary Aaron says, and go listen to the legendary Marvin Gaye.
Yes.
Wherever you listen to music. Any final thoughts before we get into our shout out section?
No, I think we covered everything. I think also check out documentaries on his life. You get to see a lot of footage.
Oh, right.
You get to hear from people that spent a lot of time around with him, loved him, went through some trying times with him, etc.
Yeah. What's a really good documentary?
Well, I really liked a documentary that I watched that was from the History Channel.
Oh.
And it's just Marvin Gaye, or what is it?
I would definitely go on. What I did was I just went onto YouTube
Okay.
and typed in Marvin Gaye documentary.
Oh, okay.
And there are some great ones. They run about 45 or so minutes, but they really take you through his life.
The one I watched was What's Going On.
Okay.
I watched that one.
It was okay.
Yeah.
It was all right.
And then I read the Janice book full of you know what, and it was called After the Dance. And that was pretty riveting. If you love 50 Shades of Grey and also biographies, it's great.
And hot singers.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's get into the shout out portion of our show.
I thought we just did it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I was just going to say one of the sources I used for this episode was Bitch I Can't Pod.
Oh, okay.
And it is, I love this guy. He is a Black gay man, and the way he tells these true crime stories is just so exciting and interesting and different. So I just wanted to shout that out because I sourced it for this episode.
Okay.
Well, y'all, thank you all so much for being here. Aaron, we cannot thank you enough
thank
for
you
taking
so
the
much.
time out of your schedule to hang out with us and talk about music and Marvin Gaye and fucking.
And
No, I'm just kidding.
fucking.
I'm just kidding.
No, you're not.
It means
50 Shades of Marvin.
50 Shades. Oh my God. 50 Shades of Marvin. But no, I just, I was telling old Whitey, you know, I was like, my friend Aaron's going to be on our podcast tomorrow. And just you guys, you and Justin have been really, really supportive of us and really kind and generous. And we just can't thank you enough.
We
so
really
I just wanted
appreciate
to
it,
say that. Yeah. And
Well, we love the community, the podcast
Yeah.
community. We try to get around and hang out with everybody. And you two are always a delight to be around.
Oh,
Yeah.
thanks.
thank you. Same
Mostly Wendy, but
All right, Aaron, well, tell the people, where can they find you, follow you, listen to Generation Y?
Oh, yeah. Well, you can find Generation Y podcast on every platform, as well as I also have Marooned, which I do with Jack Luna, if you're familiar with Jack Luna, the Canadian with the voice.
Oh.
And then I am working on resurrecting Framed for
I
anybody
love
that knows
one.
about my 2 seasons of Framed.
Yeah.
It's been quite a journey, and I've had to come up with a new team behind me. So a lot more will come out about that soon.
That's
hopefully.
exciting.
Yeah, awesome.
I love Framed.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's a labor of love, and that's one of the reasons I went to Michigan.
Oh,
So
okay.
digging in deeper into the case that
Story.
we're going to be talking
Oh,
about.
you're doing like investigative journalism kind of stuff.
No, I don't know if I go that far. I want to get to know the people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And going and traveling and meeting with people, it's quite special.
Yeah.
Because you get to feel their energy. And you can tell when someone is just so passionate, just like we were talking about Marvin Gaye and his music, when you're talking to someone who knows what happened.
Yeah.
And they can tell you straight up what happened and how it went down. And it's way better in person than just over a phone call.
Nice.
Well, I can't wait.
Yeah, I can't wait for that to come out.
Yeah, if Beth, I am not familiar with it. Beth is the
you
OG of true crime.
We listened to it for one of our episodes about the Waddell Temple Massacre.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we don't think that guy did it.
It's quite a story.
Yeah, we don't think he did it.
Yeah.
But,
well, neither
all the
does
monks
Aaron. As we learned from Framed.
And I had to learn all the pronunciations. You know,
Yeah.
the Thai language, you can look at it and then you can say it and they don't really make
different.
sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you're dedicated to the craft, and we
That's how I
appreciate
was
it.
introduced to Framed, and I was telling Wendy about it, and I was like, you got to listen to this podcast. It's so good. And it wasn't until later that I realized that you did it.
That was you.
That was you.
Jesus.
No, that's totally fine. You know, there are so many podcasts and we're so used to, I don't know, hearing or seeing someone in certain ways.
Right.
So like if you were to see me, I mean, how would you think of me? Like if I show up, how do you recognize me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it the bald head?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the tattoos.
Is it the tattoos?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And the smile.
Around most of the places I go, I'm usually wearing like my Detroit Tigers hat, you know?
Okay.
So yeah, I could probably take it off one day and a lot of the people used to see me wear a hat.
They're
Might not
like,
recognize
who's
me
that?
as well
Yeah.
if they don't know me.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, I have to say one more thing about the Detroit thing and Marvin Gaye. Did you know he tried out for the Detroit NFL team?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yes, the Lions.
Yeah.
What?
He wanted so badly to be on that team. And of course, at one point, they were kind of humoring him a little bit, but they weren't really going to try him out. He wasn't going to be a football player, but, you know,
He really
they
wanted
kind
to
of put
do
it off as,
yeah.
well, you need to be singing.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
want to hear you sing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, tangent. Okay, so you can find us where, Beth?
At fruitloopspod.com, and we use Fruit Loops Pod for all of our social media. You can also join us on Patreon. And yeah.
All right. Well, again, thank you, Aaron, so much. This is Fruit Loops. So until next time, look alive, y'all. It's crazy out there. Also, fucking. Okay, listen.
Someone's going to send in the number of times
I
you
know
say
they're-
that word throughout the whole episode.
They're going to take us off all the platforms because I say it too much.
It should be a contest, you know. Who
How
gets
many?
the number right?
All
Or
right.
a drinking game.
I know.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to be wasted.
You're going to be wasted.
I'm going to go get a beer
Yeah,
right now.
do it. All right, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
It was so good to see you.
You too.
See you guys on the internet and have a great night.
Thanks. All right.
Thank you so much. All right, y'all. Love ya.
Bye. Love you too.
Ohio is a land of mystery, from missing shipwrecks and lost treasure beneath her surface to strange phenomenon slicing through her skies. From myths that have evolved around historic events and people to the unsolved murders and disappearances that keep her communities wondering what happened. Find Ohio Mysteries on your favorite podcast app, and let's explore the inexplicable. OhioMysteries.com.
Hi, I'm Matt Harris. Seton Tucker and I host the podcast Impact of Influence, which for 2 years covered in depth Alec Murdaugh, who was eventually convicted in 2023 of murdering his wife Maggie and son Paul. That story continues to evolve, and we will cover that. Plus, we will tell you stories of other true crime events that have happened in the South. Please join us on Impact of Influence. And give us a follow on the Impact of Influence Facebook page.